just a brief introduction, then we have some questions.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Marilyn Ashcraft. I have been your council member for the past 4 years, 6 years on the planning board before that. I will say that being on the city council is one of the most rewarding jobs and most difficult I have ever done. I take it very seriously. We've got some big issues before us, but we as a community have an opportunity to work together for the betterment of our entire community, addressing issues that face not just Alameda but the region. And I look forward to answering your questions as the evening goes on. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to the Democratic Club for hosting us. Just right down the line?
Let's just go right down the line.
Hi, good evening. My name is Malia Vela. I was actually born here in this hospital. And I have a great love for our community, which is actually why I'm running for office. I think we do have some very serious issues facing everyone in Alameda, and I know that we can do better. I know that we can do better for all Alamedans, and that's something that I'm very passionate about and interested in. I'm on a number of boards here in the city, Senior Board Spectrum, which provides subsidized meals at Mastic Senior Center, as well as Alameda Family Services. I really care about Alameda, and I think that this is really, to me, about public service and not elected office. I'm new to this. This is my first time appearing on the ballot, and so I'm really interested in hearing from everybody. I'm interested in your questions tonight and to continuing the conversation, and I look forward to earning your support. Thank you.
Good evening. Just so you know, that they're getting 2 minutes and I'm timing them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, 2 minutes.
Yeah, we knew.
Both of you did it under a minute, so that's good.
Nice to know, 2 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this candidates forum this evening. I am Lena Tam. I was honored to be your council member and vice mayor from 2006 to 2014, working with my colleagues and the community to keep our finances strong in the city of Alameda and to promote economic development during the worst recession in our generation. My family and I have been in Alameda since 1968. I have been honored to serve on a number of boards by giving back to the community. I have served as chair of the Alameda County Planning Commission, president of the Alameda League of Women Voters, president of the Alameda Healthcare District Board, which governs this hospital, and I formed, along with a number of board members in Alameda, the Asian Pacific American Democratic Caucus. Since terming out of the council about 20 months ago, I've been focusing a lot of my time working on the Fair Wage campaign and also finding funding for parks and helping our community manage through a drought. I look forward to public service on this council again. I think there's a number of challenges that require conviction, compassion, consensus building, and collaboration. Those are traits that I have demonstrated, that I have, and I hope to earn your support on November 8th. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for having me tonight and allowing me to introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Roloff, and I am a new, fresher face in Alameda. This is my first election in Alameda as well. I have been around Alameda for years. I started preschool here and elementary school, and then went back to Oakland where I grew up. But when it came time for my daughters to start school, we moved to Alameda, and I have 2 daughters in the public school system here in Alameda. I'm a graduate of UC San Diego in urban studies and planning, so I'm definitely familiar with a lot of what's happening here and have tons of transferable skills that I think I can bring. I went into the corporate world, and I work in technology sales, and I today negotiate large contracts with a small group of customers, and we really solve business problems. I'm in sales, so at the end of the day, I have to work with my customers to close business, solving their complex business problem, but then I have to earn their trust to go back to these same 2 customers and really create partnerships with them. And I think there's a lot of transferable skills here in Alameda. I also grew up advocating for others, a lot of civic responsibility I've taken since I was young. Special Olympics here in Alameda, fundraising for Children's Hospital. I was on the board of Clausen House, which serves adults with developmental disabilities. So I'm used to working with large budgets and small and everything in between. Last year I was vice president of fundraising for Franklin School in Alameda, advocating for the kids of Franklin and my daughter's community. I think Alameda has a fantastic opportunity to grow as California is forced to grow. We've got a housing crisis here, and I think every city has to take partial responsibility for that, but I think we really have to focus on the idea that Alameda is an island, and our plans for growth have to be considered as part of our island community. Thanks so much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tony Daysog, council member here in Alameda. I want to begin by saying, we moved here many years ago in 1974, and much of my personality, I think, reflects the Alameda that I grew up in the 1970s and the 1980s, an Alameda where people look out for each other, people work with each other, neighbor to neighbor. And I think that's a quality that I certainly included in my past 4 years, making sure to always be available by holding office hours regularly for the past 4 years, twice a month, on the East End at Blue Danube and on the West End at Farmers Market, in an effort to understand what are the concerns of the residents and where they think the city needs to go. And as we deal with many major issues ahead of us, I hope that we never lose that quality of working things out, person to person, neighbor to neighbor, talking with each other as opposed to talking through each other, because we do have some heady issues. We have heady issues like dealing with the rent crisis that we've been in now for the past several years. The rent crisis really is a manifestation of the growing inequality between communities. You look at the data for renters and their incomes and how it's at $60,000, whereas in Alameda, the incomes for homeowners are at, on median, $120,000. So you know that the difficulty that Alameda renter community is having today is a manifestation of the national inequality occurring here in Alameda. And to that end, I think it's imperative that the city council step up on issues like that. But in doing that, making sure not to lose the thing that makes Alameda special, a place where we work things through person to person, neighbor to neighbor, and talk with each other rather than talk through each other. Thank you.
So I had some questions that were emailed to me, and we'll start with those. So the first question is, would you support a minimum $15 wage in the city of Alameda?
And it's going to be 1 minute. How many questions do you have? Wait a minute. How many questions?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, 1 minute apiece.
8, 10. I don't know if there are more questions out there.
So 1 minute.
Mike is doing the calculation.
One minute each, and Malia can start first, and then we're just going to first.
Right.
We'll go. We'll alternate who goes first on each question.
So today we actually saw that San Mateo passed a minimum wage increase to $15 an hour before the state minimum wage increase. I'm an attorney. I'm also a policy advocate. I work for working families, labor members, which include law enforcement. They include district attorneys, public and private sector. I'm also a professor of ethics, and this is something that I think we need to be concerned with. The income disparity is growing. Income inequality is impacting our community here. We know that because of the displacement that's happening. So I would absolutely support that. We have to, and I think it's something that we've been able to at the statewide level work with the Cal Chamber, bring people together to find a way to actually do that. And I'm convinced that we could do that here, and we could get everybody to the table and accomplish that. Thanks.
During my prior term on the city council, I have often been the voice for working families. And during my time off from the council, I have worked very hard on campaigning for the Fair Wage Act, which ended up qualifying for the ballot at the state level, but ended up being passed through legislation. So I would definitely support a $15 minimum wage rate in the city of Alameda. I think the affordability gap that we are facing in our city, along with other communities, is going to be threatening the socioeconomic diversity of our city, which makes our city unique and a special place to live. I think it's very important that we do whatever we can to close that gap. Thank you.
Hi, so my answer, if you're asking yes or no, is yes. I would absolutely support the increase. I think that, once again, it would take some consensus building. We'd have to bring a lot of the stakeholders to the table here in Alameda, but at the end of the day, I know that there are small business owners and business owners in Alameda who lose employees today to go to work in other cities for more money. So I think we could find a way for it to be a win-win for everybody. I remember working for $3.33 an hour, my very first job when I was 14 years old. But inflation has, and the housing market has just all increased exponentially, and we really have to be cognizant of those who need a living wage, fair living wage. So yes, I do support that.
Seeing that the prolonged economic recession that we've been in now since 2009, as well as a housing crisis occurring right here in the East Bay and San Francisco Bay Area, it really makes me wonder if the Dayslog family that came here in 1974 could come to the city of Alameda in the year 2016. And I think it is imperative that governments, including local governments, step up and try to make things a little better for everyone within the economy. And clearly the economy has skewed towards those at the top. The way that I would approach this issue is that for the large corporations in town, including larger retailers, I would definitely begin having the $15 minimum wage immediately. For the smaller mom and pop shops, I think we're going to have to phase that in, give them time to make sure that they can bake that into their operating cake. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I do support a $15 minimum wage. None of the issues facing our city, our region, our council exist in a vacuum. They are all interrelated. People are having a hard time paying their rent. They're making choices between putting food on the table, paying the utilities, paying the bills. And so we need to make sure that people are fairly compensated for the work they're doing. We live in California, in the Bay Area, one of the highest cost of living areas around. So we need to make sure that our workers are paid fairly, and I think that's very reasonable. And the other thing I've talked to union members about is we also need to make sure that we stop wage theft, which means people who are working hours but only being paid for a portion of those hours. So yes to all of the above. Let's be fair. Let's help people support themselves by living here. Thank you.
Okay.
So there. That's the exclamation point.
What can the city of Alameda do to reduce carbon emissions from its present level, from the city government itself, as well as businesses and residents? What programs will you fight for?